Welcome back to Basin Motorsports for another day here in the garage. So we're getting back on the Gray Lady, and it has been a serious bear to get to this point of where I am. The last time I did an update on the Gray Lady, I had just taken the engine and transmission out. They were out of the car. They were sitting next to the car, kind of in between the White Fox, the Gray Lady, and that. And this is the engine here, and there is so much in this that I can't even understand, but I'm going to call it paying the stupid tax. And unfortunately, some of it is mine, and a lot of it isn't. So before I get into the nightmare this engine has become, I will say I made a boo-boo on the transmission. So if you guys watch Instagram and that, I was scrubbing a lot of the exterior on the transmission. And it was coming out really, really awesome. Very, very noticeable difference on changing, I guess, just getting rid of all the grease on that. So here's a picture I put up on Instagram just so you can kind of see. I'll give you a before, and then I'll give you kind of an after. Now, the reason I say I paid some stupid tax on that is that I really couldn't get to the front of the main case of the transmission because the bell housing was on it. So I didn't do any research before I took it all apart, and I've never touched an automatic transmission. I've taken the bell housing and that off of a manual, especially when I did the wide body and that. So I took the bell housing off, and what I didn't understand was that the fluid pump, or the pump assembly itself, was actually bolted to the back of the transmission. Or I guess I should say the bell housing. So taking that apart, when these transmissions are assembled, they're vertical. That way everything kind of load and gravity holds it together. There's no slop in there or anything else. I didn't have that here to put that back together. So I tried to put it back together, basically laying on the ground, and everything with the tolerances of all that, the shaft and all that kind of sloped down. And there's a washer on the back of the input shaft that goes in from the pump, and that's got two prongs on it. Now there's 5 slots on the back of that transmission, and those prongs have to go in the correct 2 slots. So really, I tried to put it all back together. I snugged it down, and I couldn't get anything to turn and all that, and so I just didn't feel good about it. Probably was going to be okay, but I'm going to tell you, if it wasn't okay and I started and ran that car and it basically wiped that transmission out, I would have felt really, really stupid. So what I ended up doing on that was I took it down to a local transmission shop here in town near my, and I guess I trust their valued opinion on it. So I ended up taking it down there and talked to the owner of it, told him what I did, and I just said, you know what, take it back apart, take the pump and all the bell housing out, double check it for me, make sure that it's all going to be in good shape, and I'll pay it. I'll pay the stupid tax of that, of having somebody correctly put it back together. So about a week later, he called me, and I wasn't in a rush, so it's no big deal. He called me later and said, okay, I took it apart, and you had said it's got about 160,000 miles on it. So I was like, yeah, that's right. He said, well, I'm just going to tell you, the bands in it and the clutches and all that stuff are worn. They're 160,000 miles. So I was like, oh, okay, and he said, you can leave them if you want to. I don't know how long they're going to last or anything else. He said, but, you can always do that, throw a new filter in, replace the seals and all that. So we kind of priced through that. He gave me another option, and I said, well, what's it going to be to just replace the whole thing, right? Just rebuild it. I knew the case and everything else and all that was going to be good because it wasn't leaking, and it was not too much money. So anyway, long story short, the transmission, the C5 out of the Gray Lady, is getting completely rebuilt. Now he's going to do some upgrades, so I believe he's changing to a C4 valve body, and somebody else did suggest that, so doing that. He's doing a couple other things, and when I get the transmission back, I'll make sure I get the correct information from him. But there's going to be a new torque converter, new valve body, all new seals, and everything else. And as much as I didn't want to pay that, I think having a fresh, good transmission, and it will bolt to the back of a V8, or it should, it'll be capable of running a V8. So if somebody said this V6 sucks, I'm going to put a V8 in it, you should have an automatic that immediately will be okay to run with that. So with the transmission sorted out, I have been focusing on the engine. Now, as you can see, it's pretty well stripped. Oil pan's off, front timing case. I've taken off the headers or the exhaust off of it, the valve covers, the throttle body off of everything on the top. It's literally stripped down to the point where I feel like now I can really get in here, clean off all of this grime, and really start putting it back together. There's a stupid tax involved with this V6 though. So when I started taking all of this apart, I never really had any trouble until I got up here to the front case where the water pump goes on here. So all of these bolts were fine. Now granted, some of them were a little tighter than they needed to be. Some of them were just flat scarily loose, and I understand why there was oil and coolant dripping out of this thing. And then I got to this one. So you see this one here still has a stud in it. So this thing was on so tight, and I'm not even sure exactly what was wrong with it yet. But this one here, I actually snapped off the head of it. It doesn't even turn inside of this aluminum case, this stud here. So I think they somehow epoxied this thing in here, because this stud, or this bolt I should say, snapped the head off and somehow trapped inside of this aluminum case here. Steel bolt, aluminum case, not sure what exactly is going on here. So if I take this off, okay, you can see that I actually snapped the bolt off trying to get it out of the block. So if I showed you that bolt here, this is snapped off now in the block. I don't have a bolt extractor, so I'm going to leave this alone because I don't think I'm going to be able to get it out this way. I haven't tried yet. I just got to this point. But unfortunately, this mother trucker is stuck here, and I think it's going to come out, so that won't be bad. It'll still have good threads and all that. So now I'm stuck with this bad Billy that's got a bolt somehow stuck trapped. You can see I've kind of boogered up this edge a little bit, but it's going to be okay. It'll still seal, so it's going to be fine. But I've got to get this out. So I think I'm going to take this over, put this on my drill press, and my drill press, yeah. And probably drill it out all the way through here. Just keep drilling it down until that stud comes out. So it's been about 3.5 weeks since I started this video, and I'll tell you, so far it has not gone anywhere close to what I thought it was going to be. Thankfully, the transmission has come back from the shop. He did give it to me in a bag, and I've just left it in there that way. Nothing gets dirty or anything else. But you can see it's been completely sandblasted. It is painted a matte silver. The only thing I don't like about it is that some of these cases in that he's painted them blue. Not a big deal. Just at least you know now that everything is fixed. So that is all back together. Everything is ready to go. So on the transmission, it is completely rebuilt. Now it's got new clutches, new bands. He put a Transgo shift kit in it, and it is ready to party. So I asked him on a horsepower and that, knowing that somebody may want to upgrade to a V8 or something else. He said he would be pretty confident it would hold at least 350 horse. He said if you want to push your luck, you might put it in a 400. So a foxbody with 350 horsepower with a good automatic behind it, I think you'd be in great shape. So I never really drove the Gray Lady, which is right here. I never really drove that with the other transmission other than on and off and kind of moved it around. So I can't give you a direct, this is better, this is worse, what's changed on them, other than I'm excited because this thing is going to have a warranty. Everything is fresh. If the stock one lasted 160,000 miles, I would think if this one is taken care of, you're going to get 100,000 plus out of it pretty darn easy. And hey, for the first year, I'll make sure it has a warranty in that. And so far, we've got no problems out of every transmission we've taken to them. So pretty confident in that one. Now, let's take a look at this engine because this thing has gone out of control. Now I'm pretty meticulous in trying to keep all of my areas clean when I'm working on stuff. But I think this should tell you right now things are not going as I thought they would. So what you see, you've got, you've got drill bits, you've got a tap, you've got an impact, you've got a drill, you've got all kind of sockets, you've got parts. I mean, you've got stuff everywhere. And this is definitely not going like I thought. I showed you before where we were at. So this was the hole that had the bolt broken off into it. And right now, wow, it's really kicking my butt. So this one's still good. I've run a tap through it. So it's an M8 by 1.25 millimeter pitch thread. This one should be that. And so far it really isn't. I did get everything drilled out of there and punched out. So now it's trying to put some threads in there, which is being problematic. So at this point, I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to do on the engine. Most likely what I'll probably do is just put a helicoil into that, drill it out a little bit bigger, tap it, put a helicoil into it. Even though I destroyed the original bolt, someone actually had one off of one of the forums I'm on. They're supposed to send it down to me, so I should have an original bolt. And once it's fixed the right way, I think it will be undetectable to anybody else unless you open up the timing case again and all that stuff. So I think fixing it the right way is the best way. And even if a new owner swaps out this V6 for a V8, I think that engine will still be in good shape, that they can resell it or whatever they're going to do. It's okay. I would just hate for a new enthusiast, you know, that gets this car or buys it from me or buys it from somewhere else down the line. I'd really hate for them to get it and go in there and discover that I short-sighted it and did the same thing. I epoxied it in or I did whatever it was. There's no reason to not fix it the right way other than the time involved. And at this point, I think fixing it the right way is the only way. There's no reason to do that. So I'm not in a rush. I'll fix it the right way. I'll get it doctored up the way it needs to be, and then we won't have to worry about it again. I think this will be, I don't want to jinx myself, but I want to say this is probably going to be the hardest part of putting this car back together, and it's a long road to the finish. So with that, I'm not going to finish this up prior to this week to show you the final hurrah of getting this all back together. From here on out, once I have this fixed up, it's a matter of just cleaning it. You can see right down there, I bought a gallon of Simple Green. I'm scrubbing this, scraping it, getting it completely cleaned up. I'll put it back together. I did buy a master kit from Felpro for all the gaskets, which means I will have extras like the intake and a bunch of other ones that I won't use, but I'll send with the car to a new owner. That way they have them just in case. Otherwise, not a big deal to get the whole kit. The goal is to have this engine and all this space that you saw, all the tools here, have that all cleaned back up within the next 2.5 weeks, which might be a rush. The reason is I want to get back on the wide body, which is sitting over here in this plastic cover. Got a new distributor. I have a panhard bar, and I have my Brembo big brake kit I want to put on this thing and get it done by the end of March. So the first show I have to go to this year is going to be probably over in Medford, and I want to go to that. It's April 25th. So I want to get together for that. There's a bunch of stuff after that, which I'm going to try to drive to. A lot of stuff I can go to. But the two big ones I really want to do this year is Good Guys in Pleasanton, California at the end of May. That will be one I will trailer it down there again. But it's not going to be in a building, so if you can get out and go do some stuff on Saturday night or Friday night, that will be awesome. I'm going to try and at least get the car out and go drive around. Second big one is going to be Good Guys at the end of July at Puyallup. I keep wanting to make misspell or missay that name. It's Puyallup, Washington. It's south of Seattle. It's 420 miles one way. So the goal is to get this thing reliable for a 40-year-old car, but I want to get it reliable enough I can drive it to the Seattle area and back with no issues for that. So that one, I really didn't have a choice to trailer it, so I'm going to drive it. What the heck? I'm going to make it happen. So You guys want to see it along the way up I-5, Portland, Seattle-ish area, come check it out. I want to have it there. If not, I'm going to be really sad. So with that, I got work to do. I got to get a helicoil kit for this and get some other stuff done. But that's what's going to be coming up probably the next month and a half, is to get these cars going back together. So with that, thanks for watching, guys. Hopefully you're enjoying the struggle as it is, and we'll see you next time.